All right, unfortunately, we're back with the 2003 Suzuki RM125. This bike turned out great. It looks amazing. We bought this thing for $1,200 blown up and rebuilt the whole thing. New cases, there was JB Weld stuck to the bottom of the case by the oil drain bolt, and that was leaking a little bit of oil. We ended up getting a whole new, actually bottom end with the crank, everything in it for $950. And then we had to buy new piston rings, and I think that was pretty much it. So I'm in at like $2,500. So initially we took it out for the first ride, and it was running great, driving great, but then after it got warm, it would kind of like bog down a little bit and kind of break up a little bit. I took it for a couple more rides and it was normal, and then took it for another ride, and after 15 minutes it would break up again and kind of like bog and sound weird after 15 minutes. So I'm thinking it's something electrical going on. A lot of people in the comments said, you know, change your jet, but I don't think it is jetting, because it runs good for the first 15 minutes, and then once it's warm, it starts breaking up. Almost like a coil's going bad, or something with the stator's bad, or something in the CDI is not working properly. That's kind of what it feels like. This thing has been gone through completely. So I know everything is within spec, compression's great, everything's good. So, you know, I don't know what could be wrong with it. And every time you let it cool down and ride it again, it runs perfect. So it is a mystery to me. So to help us diagnose the cursed bike, and I call it cursed because this thing's blown up, I think now 5 times. The previous owner blew up 3 times on him. And the previous owner to that, I think it blew up twice on him. So it's definitely cursed. Something's wrong with this bike for sure. But in order to try to figure this bike out, we got a sweet 2001 RM125. And I'll talk more about this bike later, but this bike was completely redone. Everything on it was pretty much brand new. You can kind of see it. All performance parts. The guy was going to race it, and he ended up getting in a motorcycle accident, and he said he doesn't know when he'll be able to ride again. He was selling all of his bikes, but suspension was all gone through. He's got new radiators. He's got a brand new cylinder. He's going to ship it to me from Partzilla. He said it was like $950. All new sprockets. Everything's brand new on it. Handlebars, levers, breakaway levers, pipe is brand new, everything's spotless on it. But I got this bike because it was only $800. It's a good parts bike, and I guess it only needs a rod bearing, supposedly. So we'll see. But today we are going to swap parts over to that one and see if we can fix the issue. Because I'm not just going to buy a new CDI, a new coil, and a new stator and figure out the problem, because that would be a lot of money. So supposedly the 2001 parts match up with the 2003, so we should be good. The coil's on it yet, and the CDI is on it. The stator he has to ship to me yet, so hopefully we don't have a stator problem. Hopefully it's just a coil, but we will see. Alright, so here is the ignition coil up here, and you can see the wires going to it are black and white and blue and white, so it's very thin blue stripe with white wire. That's that one. I disconnect that. Now I was kind of checking over the coil, making sure there's no cracks in the coil or anything. Coil checks out, looks really good. Visibly it looks good. So you can see no imperfections in the coil at all. Sometimes they can be cracked, and when they get water on them or overheat, they can cause problems. But visibly, that one does look good. The CDI is right back here. Kind of see it back here. It's clamped down. Let's see if I can get it unclamped here for us. So that's the CDI. And visibly, you can see no cracking or anything on there. So it looks pretty good. So, doesn't look too bad. We'll check that a little bit later. The stator is down here, and that goes up into here and disconnects from that plug. So I do have the manual pulled up on my phone, so let's check out those ohm readings, see what those are, see if they're within spec at least before we take it for the first ride. And then once this heats up, we'll take the readings again and see what they're at. I'm interested to see how the temperature changes the readings. We're gonna work on the coil. So it says white, blue, black, white is between 0.17 ohms and 0.70 ohms. So basically you're just gonna go between the two coil wires here. See if I can get a reading. So we need we're at 0.5 ohms. You can see 0.4, 0.5. And we need it to be between 0.17 and 0.7. So we are within spec there. We're gonna do plug cap to blue and white. So this cap right here to the blue and white up here at the coil, the one we just tested. Let's see what that's at. Reading. I'll show you guys down here, see if anything gets picked up. Sometimes you just have to kind of, oh, there we go. So 17.26 kilo ohms. All right, and our value was between 13 and 20 kilo ohms, so we are good there. So the ignition coil checks out. Let's go to the stator wires here. So for the stator wires, the black and red, which is right there. I'll zoom in here, you guys can see. The black and red to the red and white, which is right there, needs to be 24 to 40 ohms. Let's see what we get here. Kind of hard to hold everything up. Nothing so far. There we go. 25.9. 25.8. Alright, see what we needed to be at. 24 to 40 ohms, so that checks out. See right there. Next reading is red to green. It's gonna be 72 to 127 ohms. If I can get it in there. 100.2. And we're right within spec here. 72 to 127. And then that one we don't have to do. We don't have a charging wire. It'd be yellow to black and white would be 1.6 to 2.6, but we don't have a charging wire on here, so. Yeah, it looks like everything checks out. So, everything looks good. I don't know, that's really, really strange. All right, we'll do a quick compression test too, just to make sure nothing's changed on this thing since the rebuild. See what the plug looks like, see what the color looks like here. This was a brand new spark plug in here. Wow. Looks like our jetting might be spot on. Nice chocolatey brown color. Looks really, really good. Look at that. Perfect color there. So I think our jetting might be on. And this thing definitely does rip, so yeah, spark plug checks out. Let's quick check the spark. Looks great. Alright, let's see what we get for compression. This is freshly rebuilt and freshly broken in, so it should be pretty high. Brand new piston. Ring clearance was perfect when we assembled it, so should be a pretty good reading here. Let's tuck it into here. We'll do throttle open. Alright, let's see what we get. Throttle is open. What are we at? About 171 per compression, which is really good. So, we've got great spark. We've got great compression, and according to the spark plug, it looks great. So, I don't know. Guess we'll find out once we start swapping in parts what's going on with this thing. Alright, here's the new bike. Let's get the coil off of here and the CDI, and we're going to bring it to the land with us to swap them out. Once that thing hits 15 minutes and gets hot and starts to break up, we'll swap them out and see if that makes a difference. Let's get the CDI off. Alright, we got the coil wires out and the coil as well. So let's go test her out and see what happens. Alright, bike's all loaded up. Let's go see if we can figure out this problem. Alright, made it out to the land. Little soybean check here. They're not doing so hot this year. The farmer sprayed for the weeds way after these things were planted, so they're just dying off right now, all the weeds. Yeah, they're coming along. But let's see if we can rip this bike for 15 minutes and we'll see what changes on it. So I rode this thing for probably 30 minutes and it didn't bog down at all. Just a tiny bit in first gear when you're taking off in a corner. Sometimes it'll bog for a second, then hit the power band. But other than that, it's running great. I don't know if it was a plug in there causing problems. Maybe it was a fouled out plug that I put in there. I don't know. Now it's running great. It's just flying. So I don't know if the cursed bike, if the curse was lifted off of it. I don't know. It's now miraculously running perfect. It's very strange. I let this thing heat up a ton too, so it's running perfect. You know, a 125 is a little different than a 250, you know. You kind of have to get up there in the revs to make the power. So it's pretty much perfect. I might try the other jet I have in there. That's what's recommended on FMF website. So we can try that and maybe mess around with the needle a little bit, but it's pretty crispy. Alright, to get rid of that tiny bog, which really isn't even noticeable if you've ridden two strokes your whole life, we're going to mess with the settings in the carb. So FMF recommends a 450 main, needle in the second position, it recommends a stock needle, and for the air screw, 1.5 turns out. So we're going to set that exactly to that. We do have the FMF pipe and the shorty pipe, so it would only make sense to set it to those. We do have a 450 main, so we'll see if that works. It makes a difference. I don't think it's going to, but we will see. Let's take out the carb and see what that needle position's at least. But I don't think it's electrical, because it's not doing what it used to do, which I think was a fouled out plug, which would make sense. So I don't know if the plug fouled from when we first rebuilt this thing. We had a bunch of oil in the cylinder. I don't know if it fouled out then or what. But once we put that second plug in, I haven't had an issue at all. Alright. So we'll get the needle out of here. We'll get this slide out of here and just see what that needle position's at. Kind of curious. Don't want to lose our screws here. This should just come right out like that. Alright. You can see there's a little bolt in there that you have to take out. That's holding the needle down. Take that out of there. Okay. So right now, it looks like it's in the third position. So it's right in the middle. And when we're talking about needles, the first position would be the top ring. Second position is the second ring. Third position is the third ring. So you go from the top down. And on this one, you can see it's on the third. So we have to move that little clip right there to the second ring, because it needs to be in the second position. So let's do that. So we've got our needle clip in the second position now. And what that does for our carb is control the quarter throttle to 3/4 throttle. And when you move the clip down, see how it sits in here? You move it down, it sits on that clip. So that needle is coming further down into the carburetor and into a jet. So say this is a jet right here. It's going further into the jet and clogging up that hole more. So it's allowing less fuel in, making it leaner. If you were to lower the clip, it would raise the needle, and this would only be sitting a little bit in the jet, allowing more fuel to flow through. It's kind of counterintuitive, but once you get it, it makes sense. So we'll reinstall that and see if that does anything for us. All right, we got the carburetor back together. So the only thing we did to this carb was change the needle clip position, the second groove. So we didn't touch the main jet yet. We didn't do the air screw. We're just changing one thing at a time so that we know which improvement, or I guess change, helped the most. So now we're gonna take it for a little rip and see if it's better. If it's not, we'll move on to the main jet. Alright, not a whole lot of change on the bottom end on the low revs to quarter throttle. So what we're going to do now is change the air screw. Right now it's at 3/4 of a turn out. We're going to set that to 1.5 turns out. And yeah, but that needle position did help smooth it out. It's super crispy right now. So I think we're going to leave it at the second notch there. Sounds great. It doesn't break up at all. And yeah, it's pretty crispy. Alright, the little air screws right in there. See what we're at. I think we're 3/4 of a turn out. Let's see. Yep, so now we're going to turn it 1.5, so. There's 1.5. Alright, let's try that. Alright, air screw is at 1.5 turns out. All right, by changing that air screw, I noticed that it idles a little bit higher because there's more air coming into it. So when you take off around like a corner or whatever, your RPMs are already pretty high up there, so it doesn't bug as much. So that kind of fixed it a little bit. I think I think 125s just have a little bit of hesitation before it hits the power band. I've never had a 125 where you just twist the throttle and it's instant power. It kind of takes a little bit and then the power band hits. And I think that's kind of what's happening here. So yeah, I mean it's pretty much perfect. I've ridden this thing for probably an hour now, and absolutely zero issues. So I don't know, I think she's good to go. But we can try the main jet just to see what that does. Alright, so the main jet is right underneath here. There's a little bolt you can take off here. A little bowl cap. Oh, if I can get it. Sometimes it's a little tricky. Might just have to take off the whole thing. I think there's only 2 screws anyway. It's either 480 or 460, let's see. 460. Okay, so that's stock. We're gonna go from a 460 to a 450. Jet right here. That was $10 for that jet. Alright, 450 mains in there. Let's see what it can do now. We went from a 460 to a 450. Jet is now a 450. Alright, this thing is just flying. Oh man, with that 450 main in there, it just sounds amazing. And honestly, it's not bad when you're in first gear. You just have to get the revs up a little bit higher, and that's like every 125 two-stroke. So I'm calling it good. It is perfect. It is running perfect. It starts up first kick every time, revs out completely, no breaking up at all. Thing is absolutely mint right now. I think we're going to keep the jetting the same, 450 main. I think we've got a 27 pilot, or 26. or 27.5 possibly. And then we've got the needle in the second clip position, and then air screw out 1.5 turns, and this thing is flying. Not a single leak, not a single bog on the top end anywhere. No breaking up anywhere. Thing's awesome. One thing I noticed was the screw right here, the tensioner, was stuck in there. So when we get home, we're gonna try to get that thing out. I've got a couple replacements for it, just because that chain keeps on coming loose on me. So let's try to dig that thing out, and I think this thing's gonna be good to go. I think the curse has been lifted. All right, now we gotta deal with that problem. So let's try to budge that and see if we can get that out. Air vice grips here. Oh, it does move, at least. It's good. Get some penetrating oil on there. Oof. It's pretty sticky in there. So it looks like I'm not really able to get it out from this angle. She's really in there. We got the nut, washer, and adjuster off there, or the spacer I should say. Now this whole thing can be pounded out. Now we can kind of get to that a little bit better. Alright, so I pounded the 1/4 inch socket onto there, and it's budging. Oh. Slowly. Oh. I think that was all we were gonna get. Oh yeah. See if that does anything for us. New. Need to spray penetrating oil in the bolt, cool that down. That should retract, and then the aluminum should still be hot. Ooh. Oh. Close, got another turn. Alright, we're using a slightly smaller socket. Come on, baby. So close. Oh no. Darn it. That was coming pretty good. Alright, we welded on a nut. Let's see if we can get that out now. That was hot enough or not. Let that cool down for a bit. Yeah, nut broke off. Right. might be the one here. Come on, baby. I spent an hour doing this. Oh my gosh, is that tight in there? Oh, come on, don't break up now. Come on. It's getting a little easier. Come on. Oh yeah. I'd be so happy if this comes out. It was really in there. How long is this thing? Oh, we got her. Woohoo! That feels good. There she is. So we welded on a nut. I think that was my 5th nut I welded on, and she finally came out. So now we can get a new one in there. Spray the threads here, clean those out, and we'll install a new one. All right, new tensioner in, chain's all tightened up, ready to go. That is fixed. That took me, I think, an hour and a half, right around there. Well, this thing is finally completely fixed. Just washed it off. Looking really, really nice. Thing is mint. Thing's running great. We got the chain tensioner fixed. So I'm calling this one done. Hope you guys enjoyed the video on going through fixing this thing. It was definitely a fun project, and I'm happy that the bike is running perfect and that there's no issues with this thing. It took a long time to rebuild it and find parts and put it back together, but I think it was worth it. End result is this thing, and it's pretty sweet. So thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for subscribing. Stay tuned for next video, and until next time, we are out. There's Vinny. Want to come say hi? Come on. Come on, say hi to everyone. Come on, buddy. Yeah, you're a good dog. What do you think, Finn? You like the new bike?